I'd tell them my life. I would tell them just what I went through. I mean, where I come from and where I'm at today. The total transformation of what I was to what I am today. From a dope drinking, smoking dope head to a fear-loving Jesus Christ lover. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just total transfer. I was born in Paola, Indiana in 1960. Randall Leo Manship and Elsie Elaine Murphy. And like I say, Mom and Dad was only married maybe 3 years. We lived right over here in the country, probably about 5 miles southeast of here, for 3 years. Then Mommy and Daddy got divorced, and I went with Daddy to New Albany, and Mommy stayed here with the girls. So that was till I was up to about 9 years old. I was in New Albany.
Okay.
I really liked New Albany. I mean, New Albany was pretty nice then. I mean, it was really not like it is now. It's robust right now. Back then, it was really calm. But I really liked New Albany. But I missed being down here, you know, with my sisters and stuff. They had no idea about Jesus then, you know. And Dad probably knew some, but he didn't. He was trying to raise me and work at GE. I was by myself most of the time, because he was at GE and I was by myself. Until I went to a little school called St. Ellen Jones. It's a Catholic school. I loved it, Michael. Them teachers was good. It was fun. I really enjoyed myself while I was there. You know, the whole time I was there. You know, that school's still open today. It's still there, and I loved it. But that's the closest to Jesus I got was up there. Until I got back home. I was up there till I was 9. And then Daddy come back. He was laid off at GE. He worked there almost 29 years at GE and retired. And but he got laid off. He got laid off early, so he had to come back here somewhere and get a job while he was still in between GE and going back, which he ended up going back after that. But we come and live with my grandparents, Chloe and Everett Manship. That's my dad's mom and dad. We lived right up here on top of the hill here, which I loved, you know. So we lived with them for about 3 or 4 years right there, because Dad was in between jobs. Matter of fact, he helped Leroy Wright mix concrete while he makes mud, and he helped Leroy Wright for a long time. But while he done that, I snuck down to Valeene to Mom. I'll tell you a funny story about that time in my life. I mean, I was every time I was trying to get a chance, I was coming to Valeene. I said, I'm going to go to Valeene, because Valeene was a wonderful place to live, Michael, then. I mean, it was wonderful. And I went home, but every time a chance I get, I'd go. And when Dad come home from work one time, said, Brian, my Mom and Dad said, you're just going to Valeene way too much. I said, you're going to stay home, or I'm going to give you a whipping. And I told Dad, I said, Dad, you might as well go ahead and give me a whipping, because I'm going to Valeene. You know, going to Valley, you know, because I loved it, you know. But I lived there for, you know, like 3 or 4 years there. Then by Papa Murphy, that was my rock. My Papa John and Edna Murphy, that's Mommy's mom and dad. And Papa thought I should be with Mom, you know. So he come up there, was kind of my knight in shining armor, and asked Dad if I could go live with Mommy. She married a man called Gail Walton. He was a cattle trader. He bought Mom and Mama and Papa's farm right over here, one that what Robert Dooley owns now. We owned all that. And so I come down and stayed with Mommy probably until I was, well, not there, but I probably lived there 3 or 4 years. Mama and Papa, they took me to the old church down here in Valeene, you know, but I was a kid, man. I mean, I was playing, you know, I didn't know nothing about Jesus. I just went to church and I really didn't understand it until I got to a teenager, you know. I didn't know. Then we went to Marengo and lived there until I was 18. Then I started painting. I mean, I graduated from Crawford County High School. My life, when I left, Michael, when I left Mommy and Dad and Gail, I was kind of living on my own, living in motels and stuff. I wasn't living right, you know. I was living I was pretty rough, you know. I was doing drugs and alcohol and all the stuff he shouldn't be doing, you know, it's dragging me down. Then I started painting with my Uncle Deb with a tire line, you know, painting towers and substations. Whew, that was a mistake, but I did that for 3 years. Michael got so tired of the motels and greasy restaurants. I was there for 3 years with cooking glass out of Indianapolis, which it was good. You know, everybody else was paying $2 an hour. I was making $11 an hour there. Matter of fact, I was doing the groundwork there, and the rest of them was making 11. I was making 3, and I said, "Deb, what can I do to make $11 an hour?" He said, "See that arm up there?" And I said, "Yeah, I can get up there and start painting it." I grabbed my bucket, went straight up. He said, "Well, now you're making $11 an hour." I was the quickest apprentice program I've ever been for in my life. But I was there about 2 years. In 1980, there's a good buddy of mine who worked with cooking glass, John Gardner. He said White House was hiring out of Louisville. I started working in White House in Louisville in '80, doing a tire line up there. Then we went from there to, man, I didn't realize how bad I had it off when I was doing tires, going into work like that, because I was doing like GE and commercial, just like me. So I painted this house here. You know, I went and got commercial work. I thought I was in heaven, man. I said, man, I can't believe I could have been doing this the whole time. You know, stood out there in the middle of a sweat box out there in the middle of the field, painting towers and substations, you know. And I started working there. So about 82, that's when I met Sue. And of all places to meet Sue was in a bar. You know, I met, like God planned it the whole time, you know. He knew I was tired of that kind of life, and I was wanting something different, you know. And one night Sue come in, and so I seen her and she seen me, and I said, man, she ain't gonna go for me, man. She's too beautiful, you know, to go for old tower paint like me, you know. But she hit it off with me like that. She had 2 kids. She needed somebody, and I needed somebody. And we dated about a year. In July of 23rd of 1983, I asked her to get married, and she did. She said yes. I couldn't believe it. I said, "Dang, you gotta be kidding me, man." And then I went, "What I just asked? You know, here I ain't a bit ready, no place to live. Had my car. You know, I was practically living in my car, '70s Z28 Camaro that I put a lot of money in. You know, it was really nice. And is either live in a car with 2 kids and her, or trade it for the place we live in." So I traded it for the place I live in, plus a few more. And we was looking for a place, and we found that place over in Crawford County over there. I mean, she was just a godsend. I've got 2 sons, Jason Schooler and Sean Schooler. That's their dad's name, Schooler. And I got 2 wonderful grandkids, Kaylee Schooler and Tyler Schooler. Tyler Schooler, I think the world of, you know. I mean, to me, they're my kids. They're my grandkids, you know. And I'll tell you about the story about Jason. When me and Sue first got married, I was still dabbling in pot, you know. And we just moved in the house. Jason was just a little buddy, little fella, you know. And I was smoking a joint inside the house. And Jason walked in through the door. And you know, trying to hide it, but you couldn't hide the smoke enough. And just like a knife was jabbed through my heart, Michael. And Jesus said, "Brian, if you don't stop this, that little boy right there is going to follow you in your footsteps. He's going to be a drug addict and a doper." It went through me just like a knife, man. I flicked it on and never smoked it since. Jesus, he was talking to me, you know, but I was trying to listen, but I wasn't listening. You know, I was worried, but I wasn't worried, you know. Me and Sue come to church when we first got married in the early '90s. I wanted to change. I want to just see if this man called Jesus was real. That was when Brother Buckles was coming. He was the preacher here. I really liked him, and after him, Brother Locke started, and I really liked Brother Locke. And I was playing church, Michael. I didn't know. You know, I wouldn't read my Bible. I just thought if you come to church on Sunday morning, you was okay. But you know what, I was wrong. Man, I was bad wrong about that. You know, I wouldn't read my Bible, but I thought I was doing good because I come to church, you know. Finally, Satan kind of creeped in. I started smoking again, stress. Cigarettes was my reliever, you know. started smoking again, but I wasn't a bad guy. I wasn't drinking or nothing, just smoking and overeating, you know, stressed out. I got sick on the job. I passed out, but I thought it was just something I ate or something. And a month later, I was bending over and passed out again. I went, man, there's something wrong, you know. So I went to the doctor, Dr. Hawker, and he got some blood tests and stuff. And he said, Brian, you need to get to the hospital and get there now. He said, you're getting ready to have a stroke. You're getting ready to have a heart attack. He said, you only supposed to have like 8 pints of blood in you. I probably had 13 or 14 in me. That's what that disease does. It's called polycythemia, and it makes too much blood. So I had to draw my blood. I went to the cancer care center in Albany for over 5 years until they got my blood back down to where it's supposed to be. And kind of shook me up a little bit. Got scared because I thought my life was, was over. But God had other plans. So I went to Wesleyan Church, and they was having it wasn't a revival, but it was pretty good. Or I can't remember her name, but she got up there and sung a song. Jesus come into my heart, broke me down, said, Brian, you need to go give your life to God. And 20 years ago, I gave my life to Jesus up there. And he come into my heart just like a wave, man. I mean, I know it was him. I prayed through at the altar. I said, Lord, forgive my sins, forgive all my sins. And it wasn't too long after that, Sue gave her life to God. It just like it was, I went from night to day on Christianity, just boom, like, it was like on the road to Damascus moment, boom, there's Jesus, he showed me what it was about, showed me who he was, what it meant to be a Christian. That's reading your Bible, praying, coming to church, going to the altar when you need to, getting people to come to church. When you do drugs and alcohol, Michael, your friends only last as long as your drugs and your alcohol lasts. Then they leave. They're your friends as long as the drugs are there and alcohol's there because you're giving it to them. You're helping them with their fix. But once that goes away, I found out when I found Jesus, I found out exactly how many friends I had. 0, because the drugs went away. But when I come to church and I'm down and out, I've got 100 people praying for me. I got 100 people thinking about me. I got 100 people sending me letters, cards, saying, Brian, are you okay? That never happened when I was a sinner. It only happened to me when I become a Christian. I thought I was going to help Wendell, because I was in church and he was the pastor, and my cousin, I said, well, I'm going to help. Jesus come to me one and I said, no, Brian, you're going to go to Valeene, you're going to help David Manship. And David just happened to just come to Valeene. He left Little Missions to come to Valeene. So I've been here in Valeene now for 20 years, helping Dave. I've been his layman, But he needed me and I needed him, So we've been together now. I've been saved now for 20 years. But about the first 10 years I saved, I went into jail ministry. I was there for 6 years at Paola with Chad. Finally, Chad left and I kind of took over, me and Bill Mitchell. But I love doing jail ministry because my life, I could talk to them boys because I know where they're coming from. The drug parts and alcohol stuff. I wasn't about to steal them, but I was just there to help them, best I could. Preach the gospel. We had 3 baptisms while we was up there. I mean, it was wonderful. I mean, the men really took hold to it. I mean, we had some guys coming to every meeting, and we come up there, and it was really good. And wouldn't trade one day for it. I mean, I wouldn't ever go back to that life again. Jesus been, and he's got, my last blood draw was 4 months ago. Now, when I first got sick, it was every week for a year till I got my down, my blood down. But now, Jesus, I don't even ask Jesus to heal me anymore. I said, Jesus, if you want to heal me, heal me. If you don't, I'm like Paul, if it's thorn in my side, your grace is sufficient enough. It's thy will be done. It's like, you did with the Father. Thy will be done, not mine. But if you want me to have this, then it's going to be my testimony. It's going to be my testimony. Maybe that's what he wants me to do. He wants me to testify what he's done for me, through my blood disorder. And like I say, I'm up to 4 months now without drawing. Before I was doing it every week. Now I'm 4 months. Almost 5. I almost hit 5. That's really a record, But like I say, I've given my life to God 20 years ago. And I love my family. I love my church family. all I know is Jesus Christ and Him crucified now, Michael. That's all I know. That's all I care. That's all I want to care. I want to do everything I can for my Savior. Because what He's getting ready to do tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? He's getting ready to do something for me and you tomorrow that He didn't have to. He come out of glory. Was born as a child, then raised as a man, and went to the cross and died for all our sins. And He's a King of King glory, and He's without sin. You know what I'm saying? He's without sin, and He still went, and He said, Father, forgive them, for they know what to do, even after all they did to Him. And on the third day He rose. Now He's sitting on the right hand of the Father, ruling and judging us for what we do. Now it's our turn. You know, He was down here all the way through the Bible. What did He say? I'm here about my Father's business. Now, Michael, we got to be down here about Jesus' business. It's our turn now. We got to do His business now while we're here. And if I can do a third or eighth of what Paul did for him, I consider myself happy. You know, I probably won't be a Paul or a John. You know, I won't be people like that, or a Daniel. You know, but I'm going to be Brian Manship the best I can be and do the best I can do for Jesus. And that's all He asked, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, and one day I'm going to go to heaven, and He's going to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. You was ruler over a few things. Let me make you ruler over many things. Whew. And I hope it's His garden, because I love gardening.